And welcome back to Jeff Koinange live at the Intercontinental. Oh my, whammy. Dennis Itumbi has showed up, and so has Boniface Mwangi. And this is a cracker of a show. Fire extinguisher on standby. So is Sonko's rescue team, just in case. It's going to be hot. Tweets coming in thick and fast. Let me just read a couple of them. Mpanu. Who is this guy? How do you say it again? Mpakayuni. Okay. Mesema. Western Hotel is the Kenyan Grand Budapest Hotel. Only a few know the owner, but afraid to name him. Justo Lugano says, I think the easiest and fastest way to know the land grabber is from the records at the police station.
But Jeff, I want us to go back to the Ruto case. Is it not a fact that the deputy president has been involved in so many land grabbing cases in this country?
What's your point? What's your point? So you're going to link him to this?
No. You know, you're talking about facts and jumping all
I know,
over.
But are you going to link him to this?
Western Hotel? Yes, it belongs to him.
How do you know?
If it doesn't belong to him, he takes me to court.
You're ready to go to court?
I'm ready to go to court.
Ready to go to jail?
Patrick is a nominee for the deputy president.
Okay,
and everywhere Patrick is, the deputy president is there. And they know that. The reason why they would actually deploy 100 police officers on a primary school playground, it wasn't a small boy grabbing that land. It wasn't some guy called Singh grabbing that land. It was the deputy president involved in that land. Let me tell you, the headmaster of that school went to the police station, reported that, and because of that he was intimidated. I tweeted the deputy president asking, is it true that you're linked to that ground? He blocked me. If you have nothing to fear, nothing to hide, why are you blocking me? And since those kids were tear gassed, he's very quick responding to on Twitter saying, my condolences, or I'm hanging out and doing these things. He hasn't said a word.
He's been busy, he's at The Hague.
But he can tweet one tweet saying, my condolences or my apologies, and as part of the government, that those kids, what happened to those kids was very wrong.
Yeah, but his boss already...
He hasn't said a word because he's upset he doesn't have a car park.
Okay, let me ask you this. People are accusing you of using these kids as human shields. What do you tell them?
There was nothing like human shields. These are fact. I was never there when it was being tear gassed. I was never there. Look at the footage. I came later when the kids were retreating. That's number one. Number two, physics is very simple, Jeff. If I push this thing like this, it's going to fall that side, not this side. The wall was being pushed that side. That's physics. So you can't tell me the wall is going to come back this way and it's being pushed that particular direction. So don't come here and say the kids were at risk. The kids were claiming what is theirs, what is legally theirs, because kids know what is right,
okay.
What is wrong.
Dennis, the president said in his statement that he was wondering how were the kids allowed to be there, something to that effect. You know, why, whether it's a teaching staff, the headmaster, whoever, why were the kids put in the line of danger, if you will? You agree with this?
There are very several issues governing children and how we use them. But let me start from the moral side. I personally don't have children, but I support 8 children in school, in different schools and different levels. Some of them I don't even know. If today I receive, because I've signed as their guardian, if today I receive a call and I'm told one of them is in hospital and I'm supposed to pay for a bill, because someone, you can even see, Bonnie has actually admitted that he paid the bill somewhere. Just a minute, just because the parents were presented with a bill to pay after their children, without their consent. And there is one who I will actually show you before we end this show, who's asked very serious questions on that issue. That parent is actually on Twitter and has put a few tweets up and said, I'm a parent at Langata and my kid was involved in this, and I did not give consent for the kid to be in that thing. In the Children's Act, there are responsibilities for the parents, and then there are duties for the children, and most importantly, responsibilities for the society that surrounds the children. The Children's Act is very clear that children should not be exposed to any form of violence, whether or not it benefits them directly or indirectly, and I will show you that.
So they should not have been there?
They should not have been there.
Bonnie, hold on, Bonnie.
And Bonnie gave me a book, by the way. Bonnie gave me a book by Malcolm X. Malcolm X speaks about an uprising for the crusade at that time in Birmingham. And he says in that book, real men do not put children on the front line.
That's what the book says?
That's what the book says. It's an open quote.
But let me ask you this real quick.
You can quote. You can actually quote. You can actually look at this.
He was throwing a jab at Martin Luther for using kids. But Birmingham and Martin Luther taking kids to the street was the turning point for civil rights in the U.S.
You should watch this movie called Selma. It's out right now.
In fact, James Bevel, who is a person who used to advise Martin Luther King, advised about the use of kids. And the first reaction in the autobiography of Martin Luther King, which I encourage him to read, the first reaction of Martin Luther King was, let us not use children. In fact, he resisted that for 2 weeks.
But when they did, historians said that was the turning point for the civil rights movement. Because just like today, like Monday was a turning point in the history of grabbing of playgrounds in this country.
But Bonnie, don't you think the images which, and we talk about children, Soweto 1976, and you saw Hector Peterson being carried in that picture, and you saw this young lady being carried in this, when they, a stark reminder of apartheid South Africa and how it was, and you're calling this a turning point? What if the kids had died?
Listen.
That's an important question.
Which I actually have. I actually have a response for the mother asking the president questions as well. I'm going to post on Twitter right now, no, on Facebook on Olivia, of the mother asking the president, why did he do that? Why did he deploy police officers into the school? I'm saying this. We did not throw tear gas. We did not fight the police. We did not throw stones. We were not violent. The images speak for themselves. The police were violent. And the beginning of that violence did not begin yesterday or Monday. It has been going on for the last 2 years. People go to protest, they get beaten up and arrested. And well, the Constitution gives you the right to protest.
Yeah, but
there's no age limit or saying that you can't protest if you're 10 or 5
but
or 6.
If you know the police are violent, if you know that the police will provoke, why have kids anywhere near there?
Let me ask you, what kind of police beat up kids or tear gases kids? What kind of thinking goes to a man to tear gas small children? So I've been to the streets many times, many times with my kids. I want to show you pictures.
With your kids?
Yes. I want to show you. This is my daughter when she was 2. You can show Kenyans. Where? In the streets.
You're protesting with them?
Yes. This is my daughter when she was about 4. In the streets. This is my daughter again in the streets. I'll show you pictures of my kids in the streets, even my friends' kids in the streets with me. This is my dress, my choice. That's my daughter. She's now 5. She's been to the streets enough times, more than the president, more than Itumbi, more than Ruto. Protesting for the truth of this country. You see, it's a fact. We read history, we know how many times I've been in the streets, protesting for a just cause. The only time I saw Uhuru being tear gas was there. I was a photographer.
Let's not even talk about President Uhuru. Let's talk about me.
We have been in the streets with you several times.
But you don't just throw jabs like that.
No, but I'm saying,
what value does it add?
I'm sure you knew. This is my son when he was 3.
Could you have taken them on Monday?
My point was,
would you have taken them on Monday?
Monday was different. You know why? Monday my kids were in school, and those kids were in school. Everyone was in school. On a school, if I go to a protest where there's not a school.
If it was a weekend,
I would have gone with my kids. I go with my kids to the streets. I'm going to post pictures of my friends. These are my kids since they were 2 years old. They've been going to the streets. We have not been tear gas with my kids. The police on Monday were acting on the behest of a very powerful person who the president himself is afraid to name. You know why? It's his deputy.
That's what you say, man. That's a disclaimer here, by the way. That's Boniface saying this, okay? Not I, not KTN, not Dennis, okay?
Let me tell you something. I need to move this conversation. When Boniface and others had a protest to Parliament and they used the symbol of pigs, 17 people were arrested. Among them, Hussein Khalid, who is the executive director of an organization called Muhuri.
No, he doesn't work for Muhuri.
At that time. And according to court documents anyway, at that time he was the head of it. And according to the ruling by Isaac Lenaola, a High Court judge, first of all, when they were taken to court after the arrest, they refused to take plea, and they told the court that their constitutional rights had been violated on freedom of assembly. They therefore filed a constitutional petition in the High Court, and Judge Isaac Lenaola sat on it. This is how Judge Isaac Lenaola dismissed that case. In the context of this petition, and with the above background in mind, Section 7 of the Public Order Act provides that an organizer of every public meeting or public procession or his authorized agent shall be present throughout the meeting, all procession, and shall assist the police in the maintenance of peace and order at the meeting, all procession. Boniface has admitted he was not there throughout.
Right.
That is one.
Well, which one?
Just a minute. On this one, on the latest one, this ruling applies to everything.
I wasn't there when people had been tear gassed.
You arrived at the tear gassing.
The tear gassing moment.
Yes, he wasn't there throughout, which is an issue that the court has addressed itself to. Then the court went on to conclude this way. I'll give Boniface this so that he can go.
No, I have the ruling, so I'll respond. I have the ruling.
This court takes alleged violation of the Bill of Rights very seriously. without the Bill of Rights, the Constitution will be rendered a feel-good document. However, parties seeking orders with regard to such alleged violations must read the Constitution as a whole and contextualize it properly. A selective reading of it and a selective approach to what is only beneficial to such parties will receive no consideration by this court. That's not Dennis Itumbi, that's the High Court.
So that's the High Court. We've appealed the case. That's why the case...
You've appealed that?
Yes, we've appealed that. The case has been on for the last 2 years.
But you heard the ruling.
In interpretation of court judgment.
This is not binding.
Just a minute. In interpretation of court judgments, the current judgment stays. So the status quo as is now is that this case was dismissed by the High Court, and that is why he's appealing. He will not be appealing if it was upheld.
But because we have appealed, we're not even in court. Our case is not going on.
Okay, and by the way, Jeff.
But so far it stands as this.
By the way, Jeff, this is not the first case the court has addressed itself on that. In fact, this learned judge says, I'll skip that and just say, under the Bill of Rights, the Bill of Rights is not absolute and is subject to reasonable regulation that is consistent with Article 24 of the Constitution. A position upheld by this court in National Citizens Forum and 3 others versus the Governor of Nairobi and 4 others. So there is another case where the court has also ruled the same. So, I mean, it is a consistent view by the interpreters of the Constitution.
Okay, my question is, how come they didn't arrest...
What he's trying to do is justifying the use of force by the police.
But how come they didn't arrest Bonnie? How come they arrested Irungu?
How come they didn't arrest me?
No, but my friend, there is a police act, and I may not be able to speak for the police. I mean, for that specific answer and how the police operates and how they make their decisions, you'll need the police spokesperson here who is going through police training to know when to act, when to discharge a tear gas, when not to. Yeah. And that does not invalidate the point that it was wrong to tear gas the children.
Do you think it's taken...
By the way, I would like the photos that I supplied to your producers earlier to run on the screen, because there is one specific photo where the kids are given sticks, not to walk with. Those sticks, they are pointing at a policeman. And by the way, if you zoom into that photo, you will see some kids actually ran away and they were standing on a hill. So the guys who are with Boniface in the field are the ones he had already spoken to, given the sticks. And if you zoom it further, you will see that actually the coordinated actions, all of them are acting the same way. So someone is definitely leading.
So you think Bonnie is the choreographer?
No.
Of course. He choreographs that. It is an obvious... Show the shit on the screen.
You can show it in the screen. You can show the one that I sent you as well.
Yeah.
Because I saved a police officer who was being beaten.
Right. And
the person who I'm pointing, there's a photo of kids with sticks. So let me educate you, my friend. Those sticks have been used to push the rubble by the kids, because the kids' hands are very soft.
To push the what?
The rubble. Those boulders, we are actually pushing the wall using sticks.
But then they're pointing it at the cops, though. You can see them doing this.
So let me tell you what the cop did. The cop wanted to beat a young girl. There's a photo before. Show the picture before and after. And what you
Please show us, Bonnie.
It's there. Let me tweet it right now. Guys, look at Twitter. The photo before, I'm going to tweet it right now.
Please.
And what we told the cop, where were? And they walked away.
With sticks?
No,
with
the
sticks.
kids were holding sticks, the sticks that they were using to push the boulders. I was using my finger. But there was no violence.
No, just a minute.
See, let me finish.
Then also show the photos of the cops guarding the kids as they were beating up the rubble. The police were not even interfering with the kids.
Was this before the tear gas or after?
The tear gas came before the kids did nothing. The tear gas came after break time, the very first minute.
And by the way, Bonnie, that's also a wrong narrative. It was not break time at 9:45 at Rangata Primary School. It is not true. That is a lie that you have perpetuated on national TV several times.
No, it was break time.
It wasn't break time. 9:45 is not break time.
Go and ask.
So how were they out there?
Have you been to the school?
I have not been, but I've gotten the timetable of Langata Primary School, and I know 9:45 was not break time.
The teacher has a prerogative to ask for a break anytime they feel like. That's why the teachers in school.
Oh, so now you're saying, okay.
Okay, that's okay. I am ready to go with that.
But I'll educate you as well. Look at where the violence started. The police started the violence. The kids were tear gassed before they did anything. When the kids were being tear gassed, they had one had a manila paper. We don't know where they got it from, and there was another one with leaves. Actually, the police took away some of the placards. You know me very well. I don't go to a place with 5 placards. I come with the whole message. And guess what? Those placards were meant for the adults who are there, not for the kids. But when the kids were thrown away and the placards were all over, kids picked up placards. And I said, okay, sure, take the placards, let's go in. And the kids were bold enough to take back their playground. And let me tell you, this is a golden opportunity for the president of this country to ensure that every single school has a title deed. Use this opportunity. Kids are saying, we want back our playground. We live in a city where there are no social amenities. I'm a father of 3 kids. There are no public parks. The only parks that remain is Uhuru Park, which Wangari Maathai defended, using even women, and Karura Forest, which Wangari Maathai defended. She was tear gassed. Moi called her mad woman. But guess what? Today we enjoy the liberty and the freedom.
On the argument of land grabbing, I mean, it's even on the Jubilee Manifesto about land grabbing and making sure land is taken. And not only that, by the way, I've been also in the streets, and I've also actually slept in. I've actually been in prison over land grabbing, not police cells, prison.
Yeah. Were you jailed?
Because I stayed there for over 72 hours. And of course, I won my case later afterwards. But I organized the Kenya Institute of Mass Communication to go after a land grabber.
No, Coco TV, but I see idea and you can get. We organized ourselves and kicked out people who are taking school.
Let's talk about the Jubilee Manifesto.
Just a minute, I'm coming there. You know Boniface.
No, me, I won't. You know, the thing is,
I'm giving you facts.
We don't have a lot of
This is true.
And I want us to talk about how Jubilee has dealt with land grabbers.
But you don't manage my time. I manage mine. When I
want to manage the show, so
finish your point.
So the thing is this. I've been in those streets fighting for land grabbing. The government has also recovered a lot of land that was grabbed. And number two, which is even more crucial, we've distributed land ownership in the coast, over 3 million title deeds in the coast. So I mean, addressing the issue of land.
Distribute title deeds for playgrounds in all neighborhoods, not actual playgrounds, schools,
public institutions. I mean, the Nongoland report that you quoted has a lot of institutions, including churches, including mosques, including
that have
schools, where that stands actually is grabbed land. So that's a process that will take.
So you admit the Nungu report has stories of grabbed land.
Some, but yes.
But there's the one that mentions some people who says no.
And I also tell you,
they went to court.
Because they went to court. I mean, even the Catholic Church, which I've just mentioned, are in court over some of those issues.
Do you know how courts work in Kenya? If you still go to the courts to cleanse you, like Kamlesh Patel.
That's a brilliant argument by Boniface. Now Boniface is saying the courts are not
by the way, Bonnie, there's a message for you from Honorable Moses Kuria.
Yes.
He says, tell Bonnie to leave Mamangina alone. I am her MP. I'm not going to take this lying down.
This guy is full of threats. He has threatened me. He has threatened my wife. Moses Kuria should be in jail for hate speech. That's another hate speech. I hope they'll be investigated. The last time I went to the police, they told me he's the president's friend. They can't investigate him. And on that note, I wrote a letter to the president asking for a meeting because I'm threatened. I went to the police, they're not investigating.
Threatened by whom, Bonnie?
If I say it, I want to meet the president and tell him who it is because it's people around him.
Why can't you tell Dennis? He'll tell the president.
No, he wrote to the president.
So ask the president.
So where am I coming in?
But let's go back to the land grabbing.
I mean, the personal letters of the president are not in my domain.
Okay, who's threatening you?
People around the president. They say that I'm very disrespectful to the president. I don't know how. I don't think that.
Who? You're telling us to name the public grabber.
You can't even name one person here.
This particular one, I wrote a letter because the people who...
In that letter, you exposed who is threatening you.
I said I want, because I know who it is.
Who
is it?
The police know.
Did you say who it is?
You see, it's a matter I want.
So the police have it.
The police have
investigations are going on.
But that's something they say. The nation spoke to the same way we're investigating, but that's what they do. But I've seen an affidavit. If something happens to me, then we know who it is. Now, where were we?
Let's go back.
As you take a break, by the way, I want you, when you come back, tell us, Western Hotel gets all the parastatal jobs. There's no way that can happen if you don't have connection with the government.
What parastatal jobs?
All of them.
Like what?
Like the day where the protest, Minister of Agriculture was there. That's an example.
Maybe that was the only free hotel.
Come on.
If there's evidence,
Danganya Toto Jingas, Moha would say.
Let him table the evidence. We respond. But most importantly, after we come from the break,
yes,
let's know who finances Boniface.
Let's talk about finance.
Who finances Boniface?
Let's talk about that.
Okay, let me read Tito's tweet here, right?
Yes.
Tito's asking, please ask the two gentlemen to deal with the elephant in the room. Is this particular case more emotive because of the belief that Ruto owns the Western Hotel? Other than the Star, how come no other media explicitly links Western to Ruto?
They're very afraid of being sued. Star is the paper. They're very bold. Kwanza corridors of power. That's my favorite.
Maybe you're the contributor.
No, but I wish I was.
Oh my, my. At Ole Itumbi, at Boniface Mwangi, at Koinange Jeff. This conversation is getting pretty steamy. Dan, are you ready for this? Dan, are you ready?
Oh my.
Back in a moment.